Hello and welcome to Frostside Chat, our weekly live stream post-session discussion where we talk about what just happened during D&D. This is the chat for session 29, so if you've not watched that session yet, please go do that now because there will be spoilers here. I'm your DM Eric, and joining me we have All Robin's player Chris.
Hello.
Edmund's player Raymond.
Jar's character,
Who...
Raymond.
I did it right this time, didn't I? You're gonna fuck me up. Edmund's player Raymond?
No, I said Prince Durst's character.
Oh,
Raymond.
Prince. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. Yeah, you going full undercover was fucking hysterical. Yeah, I had a feeling even if when you guys short rested, you would just do that again. It's like I got spell slots.
Also, chat is
I
saying
mean,
tonight
I had
it's,
to. We were
it's gear
still,
side chat.
Mm.
we were still snooping around, so I had to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's
and
too,
that
it's too useful. You're right.
I mean, you saw there were like a couple enemies on the top side, and you were basically just able to waltz past all of them, get the one thing I put up there, which was, unfortunately, it's anticlimactic because it is a really cool item that I worked hard to custom. You know, I love doing that for magic items, giving players like really cool custom magic items. And that one is that for you. And I really thought, God, should I just tell him what it is? But then he'd have to attune to it still, and I just had a short rest, so we're gonna have to wait till the next either short rest or long rest. But yeah, that was, and I'm glad you picked up on that. I tried to make it pretty obvious, like this is a badass arm that would be perfect for you. And it's cool that you're the one that found it because it was set up to where it's like you guys have to fight your way up there and get to it.
True.
Or you could just walk in and grab it, which was fucking boss as hell.
Walk in and say it's yours because you're the prince.
Yeah.
I was a little worried that the other doors might have had something else behind there too,
Mm-hmm.
but I kind of forgot about them after getting the arm. Well, and also, Mel Robin down there being like, he's been there, gone for a long time.
Right, yeah.
What do the rest of us do? And I think you played it perfectly because it does get tricky from a DM standpoint when one player goes off and you're focusing on them and you're like, okay, what are the rest of you doing? It's like, we're just hanging out here waiting for them to come back because we don't have any other plan. And thankfully you didn't linger or take too long doing social stuff because had you done that, then I would have been like, all right, I got to have something happen for the other guys to respond to or deal with.
Yeah.
Just to keep it interesting for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, as fun as last week's was, I didn't want to repeat where it's just like the Edmund show again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I think you did a good job because it's still a very tactically smart thing to do. But yeah, I'm glad you picked up on the fact that, like, party-wise, you know, we don't necessarily want to focus on one person the whole time if we can. But in this case,
not to skip ahead, but
yeah,
I do think the MVP award went to Edmund for a completely different reason this time than it did last time. Because last time is because it was the Edmund show, like you said, like it was Edmund talking to people and socializing. I think this time it was specifically for one reason.
Because of the gear maneuver that he did.
It
was so fucking great, man. Honestly, I kind of wanted to make it happen, but I was like, well, he's not gonna stay in the gear. He's gonna like get out of it if he can, and then Frey like literally attacks you and puts you prone. It's like, all right, he's getting up and moving. But that would have been really fascinating because it would have added that extra dynamic of like, oh shit, our path out of here, and like, how do we now we're forced to go in different directions and all this. So I was thinking like, even though it would be hilariously fucked up for you guys to do that, you could have done that, and it would have been just an interesting story moment.
But like half our party just literally did not want us to do that.
That was so fucking crazy that you put everybody on the spot right there. Where it's like, I'm gonna murder this guy and destroy this whole thing. Which I literally had it happen like that. Which I was gonna rule. Okay, literally at initiative count 0 at the end of the round, that gear is gonna come, and I was gonna be like, it's like a narrative thing. Like he just gets fucking crushed by the gear, and the gear just completely stops, comes to a grinding halt, essentially breaks the entire elevator, but also completely eliminates that enemy. Like right then and there is how I would have done it.
Yeah, that's probably, as it was happening. That's probably how I would have done it too.
Yeah,
as I was thinking about it. Yeah,
and a part of me was disappointed that it didn't quite make it out that way. But and notice how when he was gonna get up, I was like, I'm gonna make him roll like athletics check because I was like, I'm still gonna leave it up to the dice. Yeah,
one more chance. Yep.
He had like a +3, so it was the odds. He had like a 60% or something, maybe 70% chance he was gonna make it out of there, but I was like, let's leave it up to the dice a little bit, and if he had failed that roll, he would have stayed in that position, in that predicament, unable to crawl away before. I might have let him attack or something that round, but otherwise it would have been, he would have still been in there. Essentially, that whole thing would have happened, but as it was, he was smart enough to not stay in the gear, so I couldn't quite bring myself to leave him in there. like perhaps
Right.
like a incredibly stupid, not thinking monster would do.
Right.
But yeah, that was fucking. You don't expect these things as DM. You just have a random enemy in here,
I
and
mean,
yeah,
I asked you during the session. I never would have even which is speaks to your talent at doing this, Raymond. I never would have even considered the gear being an environmental hazard.
Ray's
It
always
never
been
would
good
have
about
even
that.
occurred to me.
He's honestly one of the best D&D players I think we have because he's always thinking about the environment and outside the box. He almost never is like, all right, I'm going to walk up and swing my weapon. Or I'm going to walk up and cast a spell. He's always like, all right, how can I use everything around me to maximize my potential this turn? And it doesn't always pan out well. Sometimes it's like, no, you really can't do that. Or no, this doesn't really work. But fuck, when it does, it's amazing. So it's something that no, I didn't think about the gear as being an environmental thing in that case. I was just like, yeah, this is a gear shift and part of the elevator thing. Like, oh, right, of course it's part of the environment, so he's going to try to use it.
Yeah.
I have to be very careful about anytime I just throw, like, either things that are on the map incidentally or little random art assets I put on the map because he's going to try to use them.
Yep.
Very end. Oh, is that a table?
Is that it? And literally, so one thing about this whole campaign is the map texture and style is great, but all the rooms are empty. There's no detail whatsoever. So anytime you see a bed or a chest or the actual braziers, those are me bringing items onto the map and putting them there. So in this case, it just said, it's an interrogation room. It's a torture chamber. So it's like, all right, well, it's just a blank room, so I'm going to throw some shit in there. And it does say in the text the sarcophagus, which I added the part of you coming through the secret tunnel is actually like one of the Iron Maiden things. It's just been damaged or whatever. And then I just threw one of those. Yeah, I searched torture in the Roll20 Hazard table and just fucking found that little table and threw it on there. Yep. And yes, the Zardarok thing was meant to be a cutscene that's just a flavor of that villain.
For a half second, I thought I was legit thinking, like, all right, this is it. Like, we're gonna be able to jump the king right now. But as soon as you said, like, you hear a door slam, I'm like, oh, that was cutscene.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I get it. I've played enough games to know, like, this is. It reminded me of those scenes where, like, your character is like
you're hiding.
You're hiding around the edge of a map,
or you're going it's like the Spider-Man games I'm playing. You're going through the vents tunnels, and you see a scene, and you can't get down there, but you're seeing a scene transpire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because like you can't go and attack Kingpin right now, but you can see what he's up to.
You can see, yeah. That's totally what I was going for. Yeah. Because it's tough in D&D. It really is hard if you don't have somebody with magic wizard powers or something. How do you actually use these, mid-powered villains, and be able to not have it be the instant like fight that your players want to itch for or try to do something where they're like lock them down or do something when the DM's like not ready to necessarily have that happen.
Right.
And I was like, all right, hopefully if they go through this way, I'm going to have it like, all right, here's the scene you hear before you have a chance to pop out, and then he's going to leave.
Yep.
And then you guys can do whatever. We need to talk about the Mind Flayer scene, though. That was the big one in the middle. That is a part of the book.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
The book doesn't have a whole lot of notes about. I guess it has some things about what information it knows, but obviously I made it just a longer role playing scene. But that character is, this room is basically set up exactly like that, where they've captured a Mind Flayer and they've just tortured it. But I obviously added the connection with Celeste and the Psi Crystal and all that, and even tried to give her an interesting optional quest kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, you could turn over this magic item you've got. I gotta sneeze.
And part of me thought she would have taken it to solve the mystery.
Yeah, I honestly I respect the because I don't know if so there's role playing and there's gameplay, right?
Yes, the meta gaming for sure.
And from a gameplay perspective, there's not even a choice. Like, of course you do it because it's like it's the thing you do to get more power, right? It's like you give up the thing and it's going to progress things.
Yeah,
that's why
progress the quest.
Like that's why Eric put it there previously.
Yes.
Was for this moment.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes. But from a roleplay perspective, I respect that Rochelle just basically went, no, actually, I would not be cool with giving this,
A very evil creature. Yeah.
power.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, yeah.
The nice thing is, and obviously it's D&D, so I'm reactive and stuff. This isn't a, end of the quest chain or anything. It's just, this was an option to get some more information. And you could have responded in any way. I mean, you could have literally looked at this creature, heard it speak once, said "nuh-uh," and just fucking killed it and on with your day, and that's it. Or you could do what you guys did, which is talk to it for quite a while, even free it, kind of gain it as an ally, although it's kind of a non-combatant. It's a little, because
non-powered ally,
right? And because Celeste didn't agree to it, so he's just kind of hanging in the back. But he had information and told you guys where the secret passage was. So
yeah. So if anything else, that was helpful. But yeah. I in hindsight, I don't, begrudge at all that she was just like, no, I'm not going to work with the evil things to get more power. Like, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But that is like an odd definition where it's like, gameplay wise, what the right answer is just because the thing will progress the thing and the thing will.
I probably should have given her inspiration for that, because that's a good example of role playing even above your what you think the right thing to do mechanically would be.
Yeah, exactly.
Or say, so I need to make a note that I should order inspiration for next time.
Right.
That's probably a good example. Even though I think the reason I did is because I kind of wanted her to do it, because that would be more fun for me as the DM, because I could role play this whole moment of this character becoming more of a powerful force and giving this information, having this whole other scene. And because it didn't, I was like, oh, that's just a hard stop right there.
Yeah.
But to her credit, that's actually what her character would do.
Mm-hmm.
She did it with a crying baby in the background.
I know, man. That was we talked about this before Frostside chat. That was nice. They got to at least pinch hit for that moment and kind of go in and out, because
trade off.
That does get rough. Yeah, and it was just up to you how to treat this NPC. But it's nice to get an NPC. Which what's funny is normally this dungeon would be more hostile, and this would be one of the few characters you could talk to. But it turns out, fucking because of Raymond, everybody's talking to you in this whole fucking dungeon.
Yeah.
Hardly any of it's hostile. And so this was just one other creature, but this one happened to be, definitely team non-Zardarok.
Yeah.
Because
he's psychic. That's why. I was like, why didn't he think that he was the prince when he first walked in? But it's just because he's can see people's heads.
Yeah, I played with that a little bit, because technically he's supposed to be able to cast a certain spell to be able to actually look into the thoughts, but I just figured because he still has some very little psionic ability, and he would be able to telepathy, and because he can kind of read your mind, he would be able to instantly pretty much tell oh, this is the mind of a Dwergar.
Right.
So I kind of used a little bit of DM magic for that, but I was it'd be an interesting way to start that role-playing scene also, as this creature looks at you and instantly knows oh no, you're not Dearth Sunblight.
Right.
Whereas everybody else has been like, yes, of course, Prince.
Yeah, I agree, chat. That was a solid voice on that mind flayer. It's very creepy and alien. I think that's kind of like the best. I don't know that we've ever had a mind flayer as we're talking about it, because I don't know if we have any other examples of a mind flayer in a game.
That's true. It's amazing we've been playing D&D for this long, and there's still even classic creatures we haven't actually even encountered yet.
Yeah.
And this was a unique way to encounter this creature too. I mean, there's a lot of Underdark creatures, but just because we haven't been down there, I think, at all. Although we've seen things like, we've seen an Umber Hulk once. I mean, you've seen plenty of Dwergar. You've dealt with a few Drow.
Right.
I think Beholders are mostly Underdark. So, but yeah, Mind Flayer is a major one from down there that we have not handled yet.
I think the interesting thing, especially with you and I are trading off DM roles so often, is that I think it tends to go that whoever gets to a creature first kind of sets the here's what the creature sounds like and here's what the creature acts like kind of thing, a little to a certain degree. We haven't had a whole lot of overlap, but to the degree that we have.
Oh, so how a creature role plays or sounds depends on the first DM to actually get their hands on it.
Yeah, to get their hands on it.
I wonder if there's been an example of that where one of us did it and the other one played a creature differently.
Yeah.
That'd be
I
a
don't
really
know.
good trivia question.
Did your, because the one that I'm thinking of, did your Slod in Tomb have a voice? Did he ever talk?
I
I don't remember
I
if I
think he
based my
did.
Slod on anything.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, that'd be a good example. I'd have to the one that Raymond, that George, it was like a rival at one point.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I used
He
Slods
had to have
directly after
spoken.
that in War. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember.
Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah. But I used Slods directly after that in War. So I don't know. I don't know if I, yeah,
Hmm.
based it off it or what.
Yeah, I figured it'd be pretty scary and creepy sounding.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like a psychic just in your head.
Yeah, just the voice in your head. But again, the more I have to ad lib and stuff, the harder it is to like keep up the like. And I realized quickly after the initial thing, I was gonna go more like oh, but I was like, they're gonna want to converse with this character that much if it actually goes over the top and it becomes like this long-winded.
Oh, right.
I see you.
Yeah, it becomes hard to actually have a
Yeah.
back and forth. Yeah.
So I kind of tapped the brakes on that a little bit and just kind of accentuated a few words here and there. And
Also, this is a very unique problem to our situation, but Discord has problems with those voices.
oh yeah, it'll cut you off.
It'll cut you off a little bit because
Mhm.
you're if you're just, especially if you're just doing a long sound, it'll interpret that as like static.
Yeah, or you laughing. I noticed it cuts off a lot of laughter a lot of times, maybe like
Yeah.
some belly laughs or something. What's
Yeah.
interesting is folks that are hearing me in the stream, I'm unbroken because my mic goes through directly.
Your mic is going directly.
Yeah, but you guys, if it breaks you guys up, I'll hear that, and if you hear me get broken up in Discord, you'll hear that. But so unfortunately, those of you that are watching don't have an example of that because even though Discord breaks up for you all, it doesn't break it up for the actual stream.
Yeah.
But that is a good
My
point.
example of that from my end was in War, the zombie noble dude that you met inside the belly of the
Mhm.
Jurassic. I went back and watched that video because you guys were talking about like it's cutting out, and it was absolutely like
Yeah.
I was trying to do like raspy, like it was coming out like it was a zombie talking,
Mhm.
and like the whole first part of any sentence was just not getting picked up by Discord.
I wonder if you can like well, you'd have to like change the setting for that session or something, but like lower your
Right.
whatever it
the,
is
the attenuation thing.
well, the one that like senses if you're talking or not, just lower that
Yeah.
to like nothing, so it picks up everything. But that would probably
Yeah.
have some adverse effects as well.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it would because
Sensitivity, I guess, is
Discord,
what I'm thinking of.
sensitivity. Yeah, Discord doesn't do a pretty good job of like filtering out like background noise. And
Yeah.
computer fans, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, with those kind of voices, that's always I always think about that.
I will say we missed over the very first mimic fight because it was obviously a pretty easy, quick thing.
Oh yeah.
I did have in my notes that that was Dirth's room.
Okay.
And the mimic is supposed to be intelligent and loyal to Dirth. So I wrote in my notes that if Edmund had walked into that room as Dirth and said something to the mimic in Undercommon and been like, hey, don't, and I probably at that point would have made you roll a deception because that's a more like, but had you made that check or something, I would have straight up like ended that fight and it would have like backed off like a dog.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how he would have ever known that, but that
you would just have to remember that this was Dirth's room and that maybe this this mimic actually belongs to Dirth versus just a random creature that popped in here. Yeah. But just a little bit of a side I put in there as a fun thing. It's because you're actually look at like Dirth, you might be able to convince this creature. But it also wasn't that hard when you guys ganged up on it and
right. It did a little bit of damage to.
It did do a little bit, yeah. It lasted a full round. It had surprise rounds. So I had one attack and then got maybe another attack off.
Yeah.
It's not a multi-attack, so it's just kind of there for the surprise value. It does have like 60 hit points though, so it took some damage.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you guys made it through the entire. Well, Edmund made it through the entire top level without fighting anything. Got the arm, which was the cool thing up there.
Right.
And then, I mean, you guys can probably see how big this map is just based on the amount of black darkness on the screen, but it just barely seemed to scratch the surface of this lower forge area. Just made it through a handful of rooms.
Which is this a different map, or is they just moved to a different part of the map? I can't tell.
We're on the same map page. It's just stacked. Okay. The levels are stacked on top of each other.
Gotcha.
So that's why I had to do the thing of like copying and pasting the tokens. And
Yeah.
I initially had him set up correctly, but as Ray pointed out, because I dragged your tokens from the sheet, I like didn't have his dark vision copied on there properly. So I was like, oh shit, I need to actually copy and paste the tokens on there.
Yeah. Yeah, our method seems to be working so far.
Yeah.
Our method of having the prince walk into every room.
I mean, it's the way you guys are getting through this so far. It's been pretty solid.
Yeah.
Fascinating to see how much longer you guys can keep up the pretenses. I will say at some point I'm gonna have to keep track of time and be like, all right, your disguise self is running out. Like, are you gonna recast it or what's the story here?
How long does it last? An hour?
An hour, yeah. So I'm just gonna have to come up with like, okay, how long has it been?
Yeah.
Since we, had the Dwerger fight and the talking with the Mind Flayer here, and then this coming up fight.
Yep.
I'll have to see. Anything else about session 29?
I'm excited to see what that arm does.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, that's a magic item, and it will require either the Identify spell or a short rest to be able to identify and attune to it. But I will say I enjoy making cool custom magic items. And man, I have had this in my note for ever since you told me about a mechanical arm. I had in my notes for a while that's like, this is the location you're going to be able to find your item because this is a fucking forge and it would be perfect. And this is not one of the things you would miss either. Had you guys made it through this dungeon and never made it to that top thing, you were going to find that arm somewhere else. Arm was going to be somewhere. Like it's going to go. I'm not going to have you miss it. So, and it was cool the way you did that because that rewards you for taking the time to go up there, do all that, and then grab the arm and get out. And I had no problem letting you do that. He does have to remove an arm, but he's already got a mechanical arm. That was kind of the... I guess I needed to call back to that, but that's part of his character. And I think do you hide it or do you not hide it?
I mean, I have like long sleeve and maybe gloves and stuff like that. So
yeah,
not disguised, but it's just I have clothing over it.
Okay, it's not like Winter Soldier. You got this like a big bionic arm like on the side though. Yeah,
just a normal sized arm.
Yeah, everybody making fun of the fact that when I saw a few comments, is it a dwarf size arm? Like magic items always fit to the person who's attuning to them. That's part of the magic. So like when you grabbed it, yeah, it was technically probably dwarf size, but as soon as you attune to it, that's how our armor does the same thing. It magically fits to its wear. That's just how magic items work in this universe. They always size themselves. Yeah, anything else about session 29? We're still in the deep depths of this.
I know, yep. We're
big
in the
dungeon.
middle of it now.
Yeah. Excited to see.
We're at the point now where I wouldn't even know how to get out if we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So only one way forward, and that's forward.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part is that the other Dorger are like, oh yeah, this guy's down there doing something. I'm like, I have no idea where that is. I can't ask.
Yeah, remind me again where that is.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm running into people. I'm holding back these questions, like looking for the brother with the fingers. Like I don't know where he is.
Yeah. You've done an excellent job so far, and that's the reason why I haven't been making you make any kind of checks for the most part. I did have you make one at the very end with the Mind Masters because that was a very big deal to me to be able to just like command those two to leave this room and let you take over. And I thought, okay, these guys have actually been commanded by Zardarok to stay here and do this. So now this is going to require a further actual check for you to exert your, executive privilege that above even your father here.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I had that check at the end. And had you made the check, then yeah, they would have. I think I had it in my head that was like, okay, if he makes like maybe a decent but not great roll, I might have one of them leave and the other one stay, kind of a partial success thing.
Yeah.
I rolled a 1.
But you rolled a 1, yeah. There was a chance that could have.
There were a number of ones rolled tonight. Like at one point, people rolled ones twice in a row.
Miss attacks, yeah. Not augur well for you guys.
Yep. Oh yeah, Edmund rolled a history check of 4. Frey rolled a nature, I'm sorry, a 0 or 1. Edmund rolled a 1 on history. Frey rolled a 1 on nature. That happened right at the end.
Oh, you rolled that a fairly bad check on a nature check for the mimic early too, where you're like, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's just a chest. Yeah.
No clue how this thing works. Yep. All right, I think that's it for session 29. Thank you to Chris and Raymond. I am Eric. Thank you to all the wonderful fans for watching, and we will see you all next week.
Indeed. See you then.
Check and make sure it's not yet time for the holidays.
Right. It's not Christmas time, which we still don't know what we're going to do about. But
I know. Well, yeah, I'm staring at the barrel of having 2 weeks of basically no session. Maybe we'll come up with something. Come up with something, but for now, next week is normal.
Yeah.